We're live.
We're live. Hi, everyone. This is Dr. David Weinthal, and I want to welcome you to Breakthrough to Wellness's celebration of the winter solstice. We're here to help ignite our nutritional fire and bring in that awakening inner light for the winter solstice. And I'm so happy to be here with you all here today. And I'm joined with one of my very good friends, Artemis Kazan. He is an incredible healer. He's an intuitive. He is the co-founder of Blending for Beauty, and he's an amazing healer and visionary. And he's here to be with us today to help bring in the winter solstice. And welcome, Artemis.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I am so excited to be here, and we have some awesome content to share about the solstice, the sacredness of moving into the spring season starting December 22nd, and what we can do to really prepare ourselves to ignite our inner fire and get our lives rejuvenated and renewed after winter.
Absolutely. You know, one of the real reasons that I wanted to put this this webinar together is that, you know, for millennia, many of us on the earth have saluted this time of year as a completion in our cycle of our rotation around the sun. We're fast approaching the winter solstice, which is the longest night of the year. And in Chinese medicine, we look at this as the yin of yin. We are getting to that point where we're starting to accelerate our opportunity to close out where we have been for the entire year and start to celebrate that that transformation as we start to look for the sun again and again. And during the winter time, this is a time for in days of past when things were not so complicated, people kind of retreated back in, took time for introspection, took time to reflect during these times, to come center themselves and to start to meditate and to really come into vision about where they're going to be heading in this new year. And so what we see these days is that many of the seasonal holidays, the religious holidays, are in fact a celebration of the winter solstice. We see it in the Jewish religion, the celebration of Hanukkah, and with the Christmas, the Christian celebration of Christmas, are really celebrations of the light and joining together and rejoicing these opportunities for us to get together and celebrate the healing light that's within us. So when we're looking at this from a perspective of Chinese medicine, you know, this is the time of year when we really start to slow down from everything that we've been doing throughout the year and give ourselves an opportunity to start nourishing our bodies. In my private practice, I talk to people about, you know, taking time to really start to look at your nutrition during this time of the year to bring about, you know, it's difficult because many people are going to all sorts of parties, they're eating all sorts of foods that may be complicated for their bodies and not nourishing themselves. And so what I try to get my patients to do is to really start to do things that are healing for themselves. One of the greatest things that I tell my patients is that in the evening time, when digestion slows down, one of the biggest things I try to get my patients to do is to start to make brothy soups and steamed vegetables and stuff like that, which are easy to digest, and so that we're giving ourselves the nutrition, but giving it in a way that is not overly bearing on our systems. What do you have to say about that, Artemis?
Yeah, the digestive system works with the cycle of the sun and the moon. So like the digestion is strongest when the sun is highest in the sky at high noon, and then we should from noon to 6 is when we get really strong digestion. But after about 4 or 5 o'clock, our digestion begins to wane as the sun wanes in the sunset. And so for me, I like to do liquid nourishment in the evening, light meals, like you said, steamed vegetables, eating cultured foods in the evening with your meals to enhance digestion, doing elixirs 2 hours before bed. I may share some elixir recipes that I use before bed that enhance sleep and digestion. And so this is really an important concept to be in tune with not only the seasons of the year, the solstice, but also the sun and how it moves to the sky and how it reflects our digestive strength or our digestion going to sleep as the sun is going to sleep.
Absolutely. And what we seem to find out is that um, what we start to see is that when we're looking at increasing our nutrition, we tend to, and during the nighttime, many of the traditional spiritual paths talk about getting up while it's still dark out, and this is the time that we can actually get up and not put ourselves at so much because it's still dark even at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it gives us an opportunity to really be quiet throughout the day and taking in plenty of fluids and plenty of nutritive fluids. I love the aspect that you were just reminding me about is taking in our elixirs, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that as the broadcast continues. But to start to nourish ourselves in this process is really about taking time to really heal. And that's first, the foremost thing is really setting the intention for this time of year.
And now that there's longer nights and shorter days, it's a time of attuning to our own body's rhythms and first listening to our bodies. A lot of times when I coach people in overwhelm or weight problems or toxicity, I'll actually have people say out loud, I listen to my body, I know myself. And I'll have them touch their hearts. And so this is a time for us to listen to our bodies while the nights are longer and really go within and tune into, like, what is our body telling us? Have we been eating too much? Do we need to do less heavier foods and lighter foods? Do we need more water or more different flavors in our diet? And a lot of that awareness of more water or lighter foods or different flavors comes through listening to your body and getting quiet in the evenings to really tune in and check in with your body.
Absolutely. I have had an opportunity in the last couple of months to really do some studying with the Kabbalah teachings, and the great rabbis that used to give a lot of the knowledge of Kabbalah, their teaching is that 90% of everything comes from setting our intentions of where we want to go. Because when we're clear in our minds, our bodies will follow. And so when we start to realize that the brain and our thoughts are the seat, the brain is the seat of all thoughts. And when our thoughts are in alignment of where we want to go, that is actually the greatest journey. Because for most of us, and I can tell you for myself, our thoughts can be all over the place. And so one of the greatest gifts during this time of the yin and the winter solstice is really coming into understanding, where do you want to be in 2015? Where are your thoughts? Are your thoughts in healing? Are your thoughts that are generating and moving you forward to gain the wisdom of healing for yourself? Or are you scattered? Are you all over the place? Are you even thinking about what you want to accomplish this next year? And so first is that we need to be clear in our clarity in our thoughts. The second piece is being okay in our hearts. And so the heart is the seat of all love. And are you in alignment? Are you okay to be alone Are you okay to be all right inside, sitting in your heart? And that's a question that each one of us has to answer. And the third place is the liver. The liver organ, just like in Chinese medicine, the liver organ in Kabbalah is the seat of the ego. And how are you in alignment with your ego? You just need to check your emotions. Are you the type of person that is quick to get irritable, quick to get angry? And if so, you may have some extra toxicity inside of your liver. And so this is a pivotal time in which the winter solstice gives us an opportunity for healing, because the earth is going through a transformational process, which gives us an opportunity to ride those vibrational waves and to take ourselves on a journey as the earth propels us forward through these innate abilities to heal. And that's one of the greatest slides that we can do, is use the earth as a vibrational tool. And that's one of the biggest pieces. Go ahead.
I want to bring to everyone who's watching, hi out there. It's good to see you.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, I see the attendees here. You're welcome, Jocelyn and Juanita and Ilana and June and Kelly and Crystal. My wife is on the webinar today. Lisa, welcome Lisa, and Nancy Scott and Suzanne and Kathy. I think Kathy's here twice. Okay, it's just one Kathy. Kelly and Judy. And there's a chat feature inside Webinar Jam, and if you type something in, if you have a question for us, you can type in your question in the chat feature, and David or I will get to your question. I want to share some of the fundamental principles of Chinese medicine, the seasons of the year, because our knowledge is so vast and rich that in Chinese medicine, its roots go really deep into the connection of our body and mind, and how anger can affect the liver, frustration, resentment, the gallbladder, and then also how our body and certain organs peak throughout the seasons. So like right now in the wintertime in the northern hemisphere is kidney, and then spring is liver, and then summer is heart, and fall is lung. And so we know that as we move through the seasons, we move through different peak functions of the body. And there's this, no matter whether we live inside and we're domesticated, we still have this interconnection to the seasons of the year and the elements of the earth, air, fire, and water and wood. And so there's a rich tapestry in Chinese medicine teaching us our integration of our mind and body, as well as how the seasons connect to certain organ systems in the body. And so, when we're talking about liver and, honoring our liver and really supporting and cleansing the liver, going from solstice to spring is a time to start thinking about your liver, because springtime is the time to really focus on liver health or liver cleansing. And so it's important that we understand this foundation, that the 4 seasons are connected to the 5 elements, which are connected to our whole body and every organ in our body. I want to lay that foundation out for the audience so they can get a big picture perspective of all of this.
Absolutely. And thank you for slowing me down just a little bit. This is a first for me doing this this video webinar, and I'm really excited to be here and doing this. And I just want to make sure that everyone's getting all those pieces, those juicy tidbits. So thank you so much, Artemis, for bringing that about. You're absolutely right, and that's really what my whole entire program, Breakthrough to Wellness, is about, is really to help us to get in tune, individually and consciously as a group that's traveling towards cleansing and detoxification on a regular basis, and being able to take part as the earth gives us the opportunity to transform through every season. And just like you were saying, the time of winter is the time of kidneys, and then the time of springtime is the liver. But you can start to cleanse and do repair on your body anytime. And that's the greatest gift, is that we can start to do this anytime. But during these accelerated moments that the earth is doing its transformational and cleansing from one season to another and moving us, whether we're conscious of it or not, this is the greatest gift of being able to take part in a solstice celebration or an equinox celebration, is that these pivotal moments that the earth is doing its vibrational shifts, is that we can ride this quasar wave like vibration that's actually putting that we're being controlled by it whether we know it or not.
Yeah, and one of the first simple tips for our audience is to eat light meals in the evening, do broths, do steamed vegetables. Sometimes I'll do just a glass of green juice 3 hours before bed, and I'll have juice as my dinner, or I'll have my cherry 99 elixir, 2 hours before bed. And even though we often confuse hunger and thirst, and so honoring our body in the wintertime, listening to our body, and if we have a nice light meal and then we're hungry an hour later, drink an elixir, drink a green juice, have something light, and that will quell or satiate your hunger. That way you're not going to bed with a bunch of food in your belly, and that you're going to bed with an empty stomach, feeling full in your spirit, full in your heart, and full with elixirs or juices, which is what I love to have before bed. That supports the liver function while we sleep. And so these are like breakthrough habits. Like I love Breakthrough to Wellness because you can break through these bad habits by adding some of these key steps and really supporting optimal digestion by going to bed, eating a light meal, and then having your elixir, and then having a mostly empty stomach when you fall asleep. And also you will sleep better that way as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that one of the biggest problems with most of us in the US is that we tend to think that dinner should be our largest meal, and we tend to overeat at dinner time. Not only are we doing a large portions for dinner, but then we're also eating desserts on top of it, and it takes a considerable amount of time to really break down all of this stuff. So I think that most 90%, 99% of everyone is still digesting their food as they're laying down to go to sleep. And, that is one of the contributing factors to so many digestive elimination issues that I see every day in my practice.
And so when you look at people like overeating at nighttime, David, during the winter, how do you teach people to be fed and nourished? So instead of like reaching for a large meal or reaching for that extra snack right before bed, like what do you teach people to really have a sense of well-being and satiation and balance every night? What do you share?
Well, what I like to do is that's why I like people to do lots of soups for their dinner during the winter time. It's very nourishing. Most of the time, most people, because it's usually cold out and you're inside buildings with heat going, we become very dehydrated. And then the outside air becomes very dry also. So a lot of times we start to see as people having dryness syndromes as a result during fall and the winter months. And so hydration is such a key important thing that's happening. In the morning, I actually eat soup in the morning and I eat soup in the evening, and I kind of have my largest meal during the day, during lunch. So I have plenty of time to digest whatever I'm doing. And then usually in the evening, it's something very easy. I like making, I'll have very light vegetables and brothy cabbage type of soups and broths during the evening, and during the daylight during the morning hours I'm doing a lot of teas to help nourish my body to get myself ready for the day.
And what type of teas are you drinking?
Well, like starting off my elixirs, the greatest gift because wintertime is a time of introspection, a time of completion, a time for increased ability to meditate and come into those vibrations. To me, one of the key components, the key herbs that I like to use in my teas is reishi mushroom. And the reishi mushroom supports the heart, it calms the heart. It is known as the king herb in Chinese medicine. And what it does is it nourishes the kidneys and it also nourishes the heart. It causes a calming effect in the heart. The great sages of Chinese medicine, whether it's Lao Tzu or Confucius, if you ever see a picture of Confucius, he walks with a large staff, and carved on the top ends of his staff are all of these reishi mushrooms. And so he was the greatest teacher about using reishi mushroom to help for with what he used to call the herb of immortality.
Hmm.
And so what we say here is that the more calm the heart is, the less anxiety and stress that the heart has to go through, the longer that the heart can modulate its time here in this creation. And I'm under the thought that the divine creator has put inside of our hearts, and each one of us, there's a determined, there's a finite time that we're going to be here, and there's a certain amount of heartbeats. And so the more calm your heart is, that means the longer that heart can last. And so for me, that's what I strive for. I want to have longevity, and I want to increase the relieve the damage that I've done, in my earlier years, by improving my health and wellness.
Another thing I'll add is like to drink reishi teas or any kind of herbal tea. Reishi is non-caffeinated, so it's really good to have in the afternoon and evening. And you can combine reishi with a little bit of goji berry or other herbs.
Absolutely.
And then if you want to impart a sweetness to the tea without adding sugar or carbohydrates, you can use the Omega Organic Stevia. And I make green tea in the morning, and then I'll do like a longevity tea or reishi tea in the afternoon, and I'll add like 2 to 4 drops of sweet blossom stevia or vanilla stevia. And it's really nice to impart a sweetness to your teas, to give you that sweet vibration without sugar, to give you that sweet energy in your teas. And the Omega stevias have come out recently, and they're just pristine, and they balance our teas very well. We have 5 flavors in Chinese medicine: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and pungent. And
Exactly.
often our teas may be sour or bitter, and to impart that sweetness, that's really nice to add a few drops of stevia to our evening winter teas.
You had mentioned goji berries. Goji
Mhm.
berries can steep inside your tea and give you that sweetness without having to add much anything else in it.
Yeah, I have a sweet tooth though, so even when I add goji berries, I still like to add a few drops of stevia because it's just
I understand, and
yummy.
you need to come up with the right consistency,
Yeah,
which
but
will
you're
help
right.
everything out.
Yeah, you're right. Goji berries do impart a sweetness, and it's fun getting into elixir crafting and tea crafting for the winter time because you find new foods to introduce into your life. Like, moving from the winter solstice on, there are foods and flavors you need to introduce into your life. And so many of us are just so narrow-minded. So many Americans are just eating salty or sweet. And yet, what about bitter? What about sour? What about pungent? These other 3 flavors. And the teas, the Chinese tonic herbal teas, bring in these new flavors. And when we bring in new flavors for the winter solstice and the days beyond that, as we're bringing in these new flavors, we're also bringing in new foods. And that's, it's the variety. The most important thing when you're resetting your body after winter is to increase a wider variety of foods and flavors,
Absolutely.
and to use these basics of hydration and eating light at night and drinking your teas. And then, hey, what about the sour flavor? So one of the elixirs I drink in the morning is an apple cider vinegar tonic, and this is called the Love Your Liver Elixir. And I'm going to go ahead and share this sour drink that I drink in the mornings. And then sometimes I'll drink it an hour after a meal to enhance digestion. And I'll send you the recipe, David, so you can send it out to your list, to everyone who's
Okay.
watching. Because I make a gallon of this elixir at a time, and I put it in the fridge. And it's the perfect thing for me to have to hydrate in the morning or to satiate after a meal. It's also a great after-workout drink too, and it's a fat burner. It's a weight loss tonic. What I do is in a 1 gallon jug of filtered water, I add 6 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, about a tablespoon of
Hello.
local raw honey. Hello,
Hey, Elena.
Hi.
Glad you're able to join us.
welcome, Elena.
I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you? You're in the middle of a conversation.
Yes.
No, not at all.
We're talking about the Love Your Liver elixir and the 5 flavors of Chinese medicine: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and pungent.
Nice.
And how we focus a little too much on the sweet and salty, generally speaking, in America, and bringing in the sour flavor for December 22nd all the way through the spring. Sour nourishes liver in Chinese medicine, and so working with this Love Your Liver elixir. People always ask me about my skin, like, Artemis, your skin is so healthy, you glow. That's why I created Blending for Beauty, to really work with people in healing their skin from within and cultivating beauty from within. I just switched to my lower third there. So I have an abundance of hydrating foods, green foods, and all 5 flavors are in my diet every day. And that's often what's missing in a lot of people's diet is the variety. So this Love Your Liver elixir, made with apple cider vinegar and also water. It's in a 1 gallon filtered water. And I'm going to go into the recipe now. We'll email this to everyone who's watching. I start with a concentrated jar of just 1 quart of water, and then I add 6 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 8 drops of Omica organic stevia, a little bit of honey, a teaspoon of pink salt or Celtic sea salt, and then I put 10 drops of essential oil of lemon from Young Living Essential Oils. And in this elixir, I have sweet from stevia and honey, I have salty from salt, I have sour from vinegar, and I have bitter from lemon essential oil. So I have 4 of the 5 flavors in this elixir, and I stir vigorously all of this into a super concentrated solution. And then I pour this into a 1 gallon jug, and I top it off with pure filtered water, and then I refrigerate it. And that is the Love Your Liver elixir. And don't worry, it'll be in a recipe with step-by-step instructions. And then when I get up in the morning, the first thing I put in my body is a little bit of water followed by this elixir. And it's bringing in that sour flavor, the apple cider vinegar. This stuff is cheap as dirt. It's one of the most amazing tonics for your liver and your stomach qi, to build stomach qi, hydrochloric acid, and also to nourish liver yin by helping the bile flow and helping assimilation of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. And so these 5 flavors, the sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and pungent, and people always wonder, like, how do I bring these new flavors? We've talked about teas, and now you can do diluted apple cider vinegar in water and drink, and it's actually quite delicious, by the way. The Love Your Liver elixir tastes like a raw Gatorade. You drink this first thing in the morning after you hydrate, and it's bringing that sour flavor into your morning every morning.
I love it. I've been using that, but I haven't been putting the honey and the salt in it. But that's something I've been using for years, is just the apple cider vinegar, water, and a couple of drops of stevia.
Yeah.
That has been my sport drink for years and years and years.
It works really well.
Excellent. So I just want to, now that Elena is here, let's say hi to Elena. Thank you for being here. Elena is a new friend of mine from Florida, and I'm so happy to have you here with us. She is an amazing yoga teacher, and she's a Kriya yoga astrologer and a yogic priestess. And I hope I've got that correct. It kind of went out in the emails a little different. But thank you for being here. And why don't you tell us a little bit about visiting with us, a little bit about what's happening consciously with the energetic shift that you see happening with the what's happening astrologically during this time of year.
It is such an exciting time. I'm so delighted to be on here. Thank you for having me join in. A little wrong, but anyway, here we are. So what's happening right now, which I love with the new moon also. Can you hear me okay, David?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I can change that. I can add my thing here. So what's happening is, on the new moon, which is also the solstice, we are really starting new. As always, this is a time of new beginning. New moons are always times of new beginnings, but the solstice is especially because we're starting from the very ground. The solstice is ruled by Saturn because the sun is moving into the sign of Capricorn, And Capricorn is all about new beginnings, about foundations. It's about building. So we're really initiating, and I love that we're talking about purifying the body, because this really is a time of purifying. And what I do in Kriya Yoga and in astrology is we're really looking at purifying the mind. So now we know that the body is also a part of the mind, but how do we purify the thinking and the patterns of our thinking? So this is a great time to really get into this feeling of how can we change the way that we're thinking, set new ideals about what we believe and where we're going to be moving in our belief systems, because Saturn, which is the ruling planet of Capricorn, is going to be moving into the sign of Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is really all about, getting clear about what is true for us, what is really, really true. And this is the purification that we've really been going through for the last year. The last year, all of 2014 has been, getting clear about what isn't true for us. Right? And this is also true for how we heal in our bodies, like if we're believing in something, it starts to really impact what's happening in the body. And, when we think holistically, we have to really recognize of how our mind and our thinking patterns relate to those things. So this is a great period moving into this cycle to really get clear about anchoring down and putting those seeds into the earth of what is true for you, what is true for me. And how can I now take that to another level of purification? And a few things that we do in yoga, one of the first ones is a mantra called, and it's basically every time you're questioning, which is a good time to really question, is this really true for me, or is this what my family and my lineage has always thought to be true? And so you just say, quieting the mind, neti, 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 I'm not this thought, I'm not that thought, I'm not thought. So as a part of your purification that you're doing with other things that you're taking into your body, this is a great tool to begin to use. Let's see. So there's lots of different things that are happening astrologically. Do you want me to go into the details of this, David?
Well, I think, sure, go into detail. This is a perfect time to segue into that.
Okay. I'm feeling a little lost because I wasn't here with you, and I'm so sorry, but here we are. So what's happening is we're coming out of a time where there's an exact square to something that's been happening for the last 2 years between two planets, Pluto and Uranus. And these two planets are really about revolution and reformation. And we've been in this process of really breaking everything down. Again, of purification. We've been in this process for the last 2 years of purifying. And this is one of the final squares of these two planets right on the solstice period. It just happened 2 days ago, the exact square. And so as we really set down and figure out what we're initiating, what are we really going to stand, what foundations are we building for this new year, it's a great time to really get clear about that, because all these energies are behind us to really take action and revolutionize who we are and where and how we want to stand in the world. And so whatever your seed, symbolically that you're putting into the earth, and also the things that you're putting into your body, are going to be very important in what you really set into the ground for this time, because all the energies are here ready to say, it's time. It's time to really stand in what you want to stand in, meaning your health, the way that you think, the way that you believe. All of these things are really set up for us to really move into that.
Absolutely. And, this is a perfect segue because I brought in a little bit of the understanding that we need to start with our intentions, with everything about what's happening in our mindset. And here we're hearing exactly that astrologically, which is a great confirmation that exactly what we are doing and talking about, we're seeing in the stars. And I know that, it's not something that I study all the time, but I do definitely feel that when I hear things that are talked about, like when I hear astrological signs, I may not understand everything, but you know what? I feel the vibration of what's happening. And to me, energetics are everything. And that's why this is such an important part of being here during this time, and we're doing this to help plant seeds. It's time to really get centered and meditate, and to take this time through the holiday season for us to slow down and to really define what it is that our goals are for us during this next year. And to really, I love the way you put it. It's a time of purification. You know, in the Kabbalah and many of these mystical schools that are out there, whether it's Kabbalah, whether it's your own spiritual lineage, whether it's Sufism, all of these things are about purifying, getting rid of, deciding that what I have inside of me, I need to clean and refine and bring in the light, the cleansing light. And that's the second part of what we were talking about. Not only to bring about our nutritional fire, which means to eat appropriately for the season, but also to awaken that inner light. And by opening our hearts and to clean out the crap that we hold on to, and this means, you know, making peace and creating unconditional love, but also to forgive. This is a season for forgiveness. And it's not only for ourselves of the things that we hold on to, and believing that, you know what, I may be in this place, but I give myself the opportunity to change. And that's the greatest gift that all of us need to figure out. And that's part of our individual journey. And so I love to reevaluate quarterly with each season. What can I let go in my life so that I have room inside to grow? And that's the biggest piece about purifying that I see in myself.
Yeah.
Anyone want to pick up on that?
What can I let go in my life to have room to grow? And I'm typing up some takeaways of things you said, because sometimes, David, you give such pearls of wisdom, and I'm like, energetics is everything. And
yeah,
you know, when we're healing the kidney in Chinese medicine, kidneys are partnership and forgiveness. And then when we're healing the liver, it's anger into compassion, forgiveness, and resentment into forgiveness, and then authorship and authoring our lives, taking authority once we have forgiven. And so this, you know, I was working with a client today who had open heart surgery in 2002, and I asked him, what was the stress around love relationships before you had your surgery? Because the heart represents love relationships. And he was ending a marriage. He bumped into a new partnership for 2.5 years and then left that relationship. And there was a lot of unfinished business with the wife and the relationship he had with his former partner. And it was about resentment. And he's also, you know, even though he thought he had forgiven her, there were some things I heard in his languaging. He said that, you know, I don't want to have anything to do with her anymore. And that's I won't. And he said, I don't want to have anything to do with her, and that's the vibration of I won't, I won't, I won't. And so when I brought that to his attention, then we guided him into a prayer of forgiveness using essential oils and tapping. And I will love is what was returning. I will love, I forgive, I will love with all my heart. And so he had the heart surgery because he didn't love with all of his heart. And then through loving with all of his heart and forgiving, his heart softened, and you could literally see like his whole disposition, his whole demeanor just like drop down. And he recognized that there was this opportunity to forgive his former partner and to move forward loving with all of his heart. And so much of our unfinished business in the wintertime is related to forgiveness and partnerships, because you know, the holidays bring up these energies of family and old partnerships or new partnerships, and through forgiveness and through the blessing of forgiveness. And there's one more thing I wanted to add, is that when we were forgiving his experience between him and his wife, he has 4 daughters. So I had him visualize the act of forgiving and giving love. I will love, not I won't. I will love, and I give love, and I forgive. And as he was giving that to his former wife, I had him give it to all of his family. And then I had everyone who witnessed his marriage and his relationship with his former wife blessed. And this is the gift of the blessing taught by Greg Braden, that when you forgive the person who hurt you, you also forgive your immediate family, and you forgive everyone who witnessed the separation, the divorce, the suffering, the pain. And it was like this ripple of forgiveness going out through his wife, through his daughters, and then through everyone who witnessed the entire relationship. And so that's how big our forgiveness is. Like when we forgive, and we forgive fully in our heart of hearts, and we love with all of our heart, it creates this ripple effect out in all directions, blessing our family with intention. And then we talked about the importance of intention, and then intending to have everyone who witnessed this relationship forgiven and blessed by this act of forgiveness. So forgiving self, forgiving the perpetrator or persecutor, and then having forgiveness bless everyone around you that witnessed it. And it was an awesome healing in his heart.
Thank you for sharing that. You know, I think that all of us can take away something from that particular story, because forgiveness goes to a cellular level, and there's so much toxins that are built up inside the cell, and for the most part it comes from unresolved emotional disturbances that we self-create so much more than what's actually happening to us from an external source. We're very easy to turn inside and be our worst critic. And so a lot of times, exactly what you're talking about with EFT tapping and acupressure and self-care techniques, it's such a wonderful gift to release all of the yang energy, that's that potential, and to create this natural healing effect. And if you don't know anything about EFT, we'll have to do a webinar to help you to accelerate your own healing on another talk about this. But this is one of the greatest gifts of self-care techniques that I teach almost every single one of my patients, because it's such a powerful tool to be able to be used every single day and to be able to do self-transformations at any time.
Yeah, and a lot of people, when they experience resentment, it shows up in the tendons of the body, because the liver opens up into the tendons, and the gallbladder opens up into the tendons. And so a lot of people who have chronic tendonitis, chronic arthritis, chronic inflammatory conditions, that's that excess of yang or anger, resentment showing up in our bodies. And it's, you can look at certain patterns in the body, certain symptoms in the body, and begin to see how we may be harboring anger, frustration, aggression, liver, or resentment, galled and stubborn in the gallbladder. And when we suppress the emotion, it gets expressed out in the body as a symptom. And guess what? This is fixable. And just like doing your soups and your elixirs, I pull up my little bottle of apple cider vinegar here, just eating better foods over the wintertime, and starting basically with nutrition and lifestyle. These are like lubricants. Like my teacher, Bob Stevens, calls them faith builders. Like the herbs we take and the elixirs we drink and the healing foods we eat. They're like lubricants to help facilitate forgiveness and the removal of anger, the healing of resentment in our gallbladder. It's really awesome.
Did you have something you wanted to say, Elena?
I did. I love the conversation. I loved your story, Artemis, and I just want to add a few things, because what I heard, I loved hearing all these words: guilt, shame, resentment. All of these things are very Saturnian words. It's about that foundation, and just making the connection, and also about the forgiveness, because what forgiveness does is it unifies us. And this is really a period of unification, of remembering that we are not separate. We are not separate from ourselves. We are not separate from other. And that really is this, I think, what the seed that really is being planted right now. And thank you so much for bringing that up. And it's really remembering that the true authority within us is that integrity of recognition that when we really think, feel, and act out of a place of wholeness, we're really supporting the whole, and that's a true foundation. And I really feel like that's the energetic of where we are right now.
Excellent.
And also the food we eat is that foundation, right? The food that we put into our body is that health. The health of our being and our body is the foundation. So thank you.
Hey, Elena, I think that when we were talking about this, about the webinar, you were going to tell us about, lead us into a little discussion on the chakra that's associated with what's happening astrologically.
Yeah. So the root chakra is associated with this time of year, and it's the very foundation of our being. When we think about the root, it's basically the grounding. It's the grounding cord, and it's really at that place of beginning. Everything has to start from the root, and so we have to get clear about what is our integrity. What are we going to stand on? So all this whole conversation is really discussing the energetics of the what makes us feel stable. And everything that we're talking about with food, with the mind, it's stabilizing the mind, it's stabilizing the health. I mean, without these foundational pieces, how can we really find joy? How can we feel connection to ourselves, our energetic, and then other people? It's so much easier to let go and be in a place of gratitude on a day-to-day basis when we have these real foundational things set up. And it's first knowing what that is. What do we need? What kinds of food are good for your system? What do we need to take care of our skin, which is a very, Capricorn organ. You know, the skin is the largest organ in the body. We forget that everything that we touch and even the air that's around us influences and has an impact on us. The soaps we're using, what kind of lotions are you putting on your body, and these types of things, getting more clear what's not working and let them go. Just real simple stuff. It's not that complicated. And also, with the root chakra, when we have that stable, that's when we can really create. And the beauty about this period is really getting a strong hold on that energetic stability of that root chakra. What we're doing is giving ourselves the opportunity to really create, because then we move up into the next one, which is the Jupiter chakra, or the sacral chakra. And as we move up toward the equinox, we're moving literally energetically, we're moving up in consciousness and giving ourselves the opportunity to create, which is beautiful. So we're moving in that period of creation. So this is just sort of the gestation, getting clear, and then, continuing the energy up the spinal column. So we start at the bottom, and then as we move from Capricorn into Aquarius, we come up into the sacral, and from the sacral, we move up into the, so we move into Pisces, you know what I'm saying? We move from Capricorn to Pisces to Aries. So we're moving up, in Aries is then the spring equinox. So this is what we're literally doing in our energetic body, just like it's what's happening around us. We give birth in the spring, just like we see the flowers blooming. So it's just a good time to remember that we're connected, and that brings us back to this place of we're a part of the whole. There's a connection. We're a part of nature, not apart from nature.
Okay, so
that was I want to reiterate that I got a takeaway here. What makes you feel stable? Like, I put that question in the chat because it's such a powerful question, like stability, understanding, groundedness, to be stable, to stand under, to understand. Like, what do you require to feel stable? That's a good question for me.
I like that. So I kind of wanted to tell people some of the root chakra foods are the ones that are rich in red and really deep purple colors. So it's our magenta color. And so goji berries, beet juice, red apples, tomatoes, some chili peppers. You can certainly make some sauerkraut with beets in it, which will help with nourishing the liver and really giving us that sour taste, but also bringing in the red color, which can actually nourish what's happening with us. So I think, Artemis, are you still there with us?
Yeah.
You're needing to jump off, I think.
No, that was a technical error. I have
okay.
another 5 minutes. I pressed backspace and it backed me out of the tab. So I recommit to my technology, being fully present with my technology.
Well, very good. Well, I just want to say thank you to both of you so much for being here with me today and taking the time to join me on my first webinar out here to salute the winter solstice and to really to help all of us to ignite our nutritional fire and what that means for us during this winter season, which means being nourishing to ourselves and to really take hold of creating that substance. I love that the Love Your Liver elixir that you're gonna send to me, and I will send that out to the list with the replay for everyone. And thank you so much, Elena, for being here and giving us a little lowdown on what's happening during this season energetically in the astral planes here, in the astrological understanding. So, any final comments from each one of you? Artemis?
The Love Your Liver Elixir, I'll send out the full recipe with ingredients and links to some of the unique ingredients like the Omega Organics Sweet Blossom Stevia, which it's important you use as a very specific stevia because it just is the purest and no bitter aftertaste. And then when you're drinking this elixir, drink it first thing in the morning after a little bit of water to just super hydrate the stomach and impart this healing property of apple cider vinegar. And then you can also drink it 1 hour after a meal, and you can do it in the afternoon for a little energy boost as well. So enjoy the elixir recipe, and thank you, David, for having me. And Elaine, you are a lighthouse of health and well-being and Chinese wisdom, and you keep shining.
Well, I look forward to having both of you. Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you, and my apology for the timing, me coming in a little late. I had my timing off, but it's such an honor. And I just want to say also to people, take time to really, in your mind and in your heart, to plant seeds of unity and wholeness and really get clear, maybe even doing a little mind mapping or a little vision journaling so that you can be clear about what it is you're anchoring down for this season, what you want to initiate. Because as we all know, what we do intentionally put into the earth in our hearts and in our minds, in our body, becomes what we become. So just really be more conscious if you're willing and able. And thank you so much for having me here. It's such an honor and a joy, and to see you both. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to wrap up, and for all of you that are on here on this webinar with me, you guys are on my list. And for those of you that are wanting to go a little deeper in your breakthrough into your own wellness through 2015, I have a awesome product that I have put together called the Breakthrough to Wellness Blueprint. Now, this is a standalone product that is an incredible opportunity. I have a year-long cleansing program with 120 recipes, the menu planning, all of the shopping lists, incredible stuff, and it's all broken down per season. You get some videos of me inside the kitchen making some of my favorite raw food recipes. You get a 30-minute health consultation with me, which basically I think is the best thing out of the entire product. And normally I do this for $97. What I'm doing for you guys that are on my list, and this is the only time I'm going to be doing this at this particular price, I am doing a 4-week live teleclass starting in the beginning of the year. We're probably going to be starting the first Monday. I think it's January 5th. And I'm going to put together a 4-week transformational teleclass for $197, and this is the only time I'm going to be doing it at this price for every one of you that are on my list. And you get the blueprint for free. And we're going to have 6 calls on there, and the first week will be transformation through the body. The second week will be transformation through the heart. The third will be transformation into the soul. And then we're going to wrap up the 4th week on what you can do to transform for the next 3 months until we get to the spring solstice. So we'll be doing another webinar in springtime to help us propel ourselves even deeper into the next couple of months. So be on the lookout for us, and definitely friend us on Breakthrough to Wellness on Facebook so you can stay in touch and let us know what's happening with you during the season. And we'd love to hear your comments about everything. So that's it for me. I'm Dr. David Weinthal, and I'm thanking both my friends Artemis and Elena for being here and joining me and helping to make this winter solstice celebration an amazing opportunity. And I wish each and every one of you an amazing holiday season. Be safe, be happy, and most of all, let's make 2015 our most incredible breakthrough in our own wellness and health. So that's it. Love you all. Peace and blessings to each and one of you.
Good night.
Bye, everyone.
Click stop broadcast.